I hope you guys are ready for a challenge because I've got 5 clubs around the world who are massively in debt on Football Manager. They've got big loans. It's going to be very hard to even get rid of the loan. You're going to have to use a lot of moneyballing techniques. You're going to have to be very careful on wage budgets, everything like that. On top of that, trying to actually do something on the game. Honestly, I'm really excited to bring you this video because there's 5 clubs here and you will not believe the amount of debt that some of these clubs have got. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and as you can see on the screen, the first club is Anderlecht in Belgium. You can see they've got obviously they're a big club, they're generally in the Champions League, they've got some high profile names, but you know, they've got 17,000 season ticket holders. But the main thing I want to look at is the fact that if you go to their finances, they've got 1.8 million in the bank. It doesn't look that bad, right? If you go to the debts, look at the amount of debts they've got. They've got £53 million worth of debts, and some of these are extortionate. They've got a club chairman loan, which they're paying £2.2 million a month. Like £5 million a month. I know obviously there's some Belgian fans on our channel, so let me know if you've actually managed these on FM20. But that is a crazy amount of money to be spending per month in a league like Belgium where the money isn't that high in terms of TV revenue and stuff like that. If one season you don't get in the Champions League, you are really screwed. I'm not even joking. Of course, you've got your whole players to look through. You've got some potential in your team. It is Anderlecht. They do tend to get a lot of potential. So in terms of potential regarding under 18s, you know, you've got a lot of 4.5-star players and stuff like that. And of course, in your first team, you've got a few big players as well in terms of potential. So you do have the potential, but you need to make that money back somehow. And honestly, I think this would be a great save to do for £4.8 million per month. Let me quickly look at their projection as well. They're expected at the end of this season to be minus 30 mil. But I'm going to show you what happens at the end of this season in a second, because we've actually gone forward a year to see what their balance actually is. But I want to try and help you guys out as well. I want to also look at their transfer clauses just to see if there's anything you can get from the start. So you've got Sevilla, who you can sell the clause and you can get 178k, which is, yeah, it's not the best, but it's something. And of course, you've got 1.9 million in the bank. But I want to see how these look at the end of the first season if you don't make any signings, because I don't think you'll be able to anyway. And I want to see how they look after the end of one season. So one thing I've learned from this video is the projection is absolutely bull. £63 million in debt is Anderlecht after season 1. How do you do this? Seriously? I really want you guys to let me know how you do this and where you go from this, because this is crazy. Of course, the debts are still there. Now £5 million per month. The chairman loan is still 2.2. I just don't know how you do this. And I really want to see your guys' stories in terms of what's happening on your saves if you do decide to do this. You can see they spent literally £59 million on loans in one season. It's crazy. And then you've got 29 million on wages as well. Of course, they did have some income. The main income being kind of 56 million in sponsorship. So, you know, you do have a lot of sponsorship. You're kind of one of the biggest clubs in Belgium. So sponsorships, investments. I mean, investments is kind of hit and miss. You know, season tickets, you get 5 mil, but mainly it's coming from your sponsorships. But even though you've got all them sponsorships, you are still minus 63 mil. What do you do next? And of course, we're into England now, and Bolton Wanderers, which most of you guys probably know about, are in the Sky Bet League One. Had a lot of problems over the last year. What makes this save kind of interesting is the fact that if you go to the finances, go to the debts, they have a debt of £41 million. Now, the payable per month is 500k, which really isn't that bad in the grand scheme of things. And of course, a few promotions here and there. You know, you're soon in the Premier League, so it's not that hard of a save, but trying to get Bolton back to the Premier League is a challenge in itself. And of course, dealing with the 41 million loan while you're in League One. So you need some instant promotions to try and sort that out. In terms of clauses, let's have a little look. There's obviously Zach Clough, which you can sell for around 361k, and you can potentially sell the Rob Holding clause at some point as well. So really not that bad. They are only projected to be minus 3.47 million at the end of the 2019-2020 season. So, you know, the player wages and stuff like that aren't that high. They have about 7,000 season ticket holders. You've potentially got a few players that you can sell in your team. You've got quite a lot of potential. It's not hard to sell players when you're Bolton, because a lot of their players are kind of like not Premier League, Championship players, like Politic and players like that. If you don't play wingers and stuff like that, you can potentially sell this guy for better money and get nearly 2 million for him. So really, it's not that hard. But let's have a look in a year's time just to see what their balance is. So the projection was actually about correct, 3.3 million in their balance. Sadly, they have been relegated on my save, so of course the team isn't really that good for the AI. And of course, you'll be better if you take over them, and your chances are you probably won't get relegated. You've got a lot of work to do, and yeah, that is Bolton. I think it'll be a challenge for anyone who's trying to look for a team in England. Okay, this team you're seeing right here, this Mersin in Turkey, is probably one of the challenging saves you might ever encounter on Football Manager. Not only as this club, I believe they was playing a lot in the Premier. It's kind of a fallen giant, I believe. I'm not too familiar with the Turkish league, but I did have a little look on Wikipedia, and of course, it did say they was playing in the first, second, and third tier before they went down. Something might have happened at the club. I'm not entirely sure, but what makes this save interesting is the fact that this club right here, they have about 620 season ticket orders. They play at a 25k capacity stadium, which they have to pay for per month. If you look at their balance right now, they have 1.3 minus in the bank. Now, that is an crazy amount of money when you're in their amateur leagues and you're an amateur club. There's no way you can improve that. But what makes it even more interesting is the fact that they actually have a 12 million loan. On top of that, they're paying 90k per month. So it really is crazy. I don't know how you do this. And then if that's not hard enough, you literally have 2 players at the club. So not only are you 1.3 million in debt as an amateur club, not only are you paying 90k, not only are you playing for the stadium, you have 2 players at the club who's on £60 a week, valued at £250. Honestly, I'm not even sure what tier we're in. I think it must be like the 4th tier of maybe. I really don't know. They've not even got a reputation. Oh, there they are, 245, which is on average, looking at the Scottish Junior West Region League One. This might be the hardest save you've ever done on FM, and please let me know in the comments if you try it. I'm going to try this myself just to see what happens, because I can't see a way out. I really can't. They are projected to be at 2.58 million at the end of Season 1. So let's go forward a year and have a look. So you can see after a year, they did get promoted, so they got a pretty good team in terms of the league they're actually in. They are minus 774k, so they must have had some sort of investment. Let's do a little bit of digging. So if we go to the finances, let's look at the income for the season. So they've had 1.3 million on investment, so the chairman is willing to invest. That's a really good thing, but again, as they probably added to the loan is still 12 million, so they've not paid anything back on the loan. They're kind of going in a circle where they get it down and then they have to improve or get another loan because they just can't afford to survive. So yeah, very challenging, and again, the projection is around that as well. So, but yeah, minus 774. I really want you guys to try this save. For the South American lovers out there, I'm picking Botafogo in Brazil. I believe Botafogo is the club that's mostly in debt in Brazil. Now, this club is quite a decent sized club, you know. You can see the finances are currently insecure, but 3.5-star rep really isn't that bad. Of course, with you being in Brazil, you have got the opportunity to sell your wonder kids that you get through Brazil. You will get a lot of good youth intakes. But the main thing about this one is the fact that they're already minus 6 million in the bank. You know, they don't have really anything. They've got 9k to spend, so they're still overspending on wages despite being minus 6k. If we go to the debt, you can see they have a debt of 139 million, which is the highest we've seen so far. You can see they're paying £500,000, just over £500,000 a month to try and pay off this debt, which will take forever. You can see 2040, that's when it's going to last till. Of course, if you do get to a stage where you get this club to be kind of one of the biggest clubs in the world, you'll be able to pay that off a lot earlier if you've got a lot of balance. But yeah, no, really crazy. And obviously, the players that you can potentially sell, you know, you've got a few good players, 19-year-old Peruvian who's 5-star. I'm not sure if you've got any clauses that you can potentially sell. You don't. So you're really in for the long run in terms of this save in Brazil. It's going to be a real challenge. But again, I want to see just how much they're in debt. They're already minus 6, but let's see in a year's time. You can see after a year, Botafogo actually have £7.5 million in the bank. Let's have a look where that came from, because unless they sold a player, you can see their income for this season is sponsorship, which is 7.6. So I'm assuming that's what's happened. They had a bit of fundraising as well, but in terms of their expenditure, you can see the main expenditure coming from the tax, and I don't really see I guess the loan doesn't start yet. If we go to the loan, you can see it's still 132. I did see it said it started somewhere, so it might start from this season, like from this season that we're in now. But no, not too bad. They did have a bit of investment and stuff like that. But again, you've got to try and get rid of that 132 million loan, because that's going to stop you getting budgets quite a lot, and it's really important to get rid of it. But yeah, that is Botafogo in Brazil. And we're into Greece now with Panionios. They've only got 1,000 season ticket orders. You can see the finances are insecure. On top of that, they cannot sign players over 23 years old. So a big challenge. In terms of the finances, they have literally a debt of about 3.4 million, which isn't too bad. But I picked this one because Greece is really hard in terms of finances and the revenue you get. On top of that, you know, they do have 207k minus already in the bank. They have a very little wage budget to spend for the Greek first team. So it's going to take a lot of work to try and get this club where you need to. They do have a bit of potential in the team, in this guy right here. And of course, I'm not sure if they've got any clauses. Let's have a little look. They've got one clause that they can sell for 99k. So not a too bad club, but I do want to see how these look in a year's time. So you can see after a season, they haven't really changed that much. They're still minus 208, around 288. Let's have a little look at their finances to see if anything's changed. So sponsorships, they've got a few more. The debts is still 3, so they've paid a little bit off. They are only paying 48k, so this is kind of the easier one towards the end that you should try and take over. In terms of the expenditure, they did spend on the wages the most, almost £1 million over the year. You can see the loans, they paid 500k for the loan. It's still a lot of money in a nation like this. This is why I've chose it. They did make a bit of TV revenue, 1.2 million. It really isn't that much though. Gate receipts, they got 847k. So, and that has been the end to the video. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Let me know, please do let me know in the comments if you're going to try and give one of these a go, because that Turkish one for me looks so interesting. And I want to know, I want you to keep me updated. Tag us on Twitter at FMSCOUT if you are going to carry on with your stories and let us know. But apart from that, it's been a pleasure, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye, everybody.